whiz, because one art form wasn't enough. Today's review was requested by my fellow content creator and reviewer, the Nostalgia Kid.
Hey everyone, and welcome to MST3K Week.
Today we're going to be looking at the comic adaptation of the dearly beloved franchise, Mystery Science Theater 3000. Originally getting its start in 1988 on what would later become the CW, MST3K is all about one thing: sitting down in a theater and making fun of bad movies. The plot of the show is about two mad scientists making a guinea pig out of one of their employees, Joel, played by the show's creator, Joel Hodgson. He's put onto a spaceship orbiting Earth and forced to sit through and endure terrible movies. And so he wouldn't have to sit through them alone, he built a couple of robot puppet companions. Mid-season 5, Joel left the show and was replaced by Mike, played by Mike Nelson. Before being launched onto the Satellite of Love, his character was just a temp worker for the Mads, and for the remainder of the original run, Mike would take over as the main human host. Slowly the Mads, Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank, died off and new villains came in. Dr. Forrester's mom Pearl and her two lackeys, Bobo and Brain Guy, who just so happened to be played by the same guys who played Tom and Crow, Kevin Murphy, and Bill Corbett. After 10 seasons, the original show ended and kept a strong fan base of Misties. At that time, the closest thing to a reboot were these lame web animations. Yeah, needless to say, these went nowhere. But thanks to tons of backing on Kickstarter and the support of the fans, the show was revived for Netflix and began airing in 2017. The bots are the same, with 2 new additions, and the new host of the show is Jonah, played by Jonah Ray. He's placed on the new Satellite of Love by the next in the Forrester's bloodline, Kinga Forrester, and the son of TV's Frank, Max. Aside from that, it's basically the same concept of doing comedic commentary, or as it's called, riffing, on bad movies. And it got a comic adaptation. Yes, a show about making fun of bad movies is now in comic book form. With a shortened ashcan issue released before the official issues in 2018, this comic is set out to be a 6-issue miniseries released by Dark Horse Comics. So how do you translate this show into comic book form? Let's find out. This is Mystery Science Theater 3000, Issue 1. Before we begin, I just want to add that the art in this comic is done by Todd Knock and Steve Vance, the same guy who does the amazing cover arts of the show's DVD releases. Vance does the majority of the comic, and Knock does the host segments, and man, do they do a good job capturing the characters through these designs. So right off the bat, we start with some really good artwork. The story proper begins with the crew aboard the Satellite of Love discovering a new weird vent on board the ship. To no surprise, it was installed by the evildoers in Moon 13. Apparently the plan is taking a step in a different direction. Instead of having them sit through bad movies as usual, the plan is going to involve beaming the crew inside of bad comic books. As presented on the cover, the transfer from their world to the comic world involves being enshrouded by bubbles that teleport you into whatever selected comic. Yeah, this is the part of the review where the reviewer says, "Oh, is that going to happen to me?" And then they get sucked into the thing that they're reviewing and they're in front of a green screen and, actually, you know what? I was expecting that to happen to me, but, I forgot. I don't have a budget. The teleportation device is tested on Max, who is teleported into an old-school Funny Animals comic. And if you're curious, yes, just like with the movies on the show, these comics are real vintage comics that were either public domain or they just happened to have the rights to. The device works, though it seems that this giraffe did a number on Max so well he wants to go back and get vengeance. That giraffe has gotta die! Why does that giraffe hate rabbits so much? Does he think that all rabbits are jerkasses like in Sir Billy?
This is a magical place. Even for a beaver butt like you.
After that, Kinga presents the next means of torture for the crew, Johnny Jason, Teen Reporter, Issue 2. Soon enough, the ship fills up with the bubbles and the crew are consumed, with Tom nearly escaping before Trust falling in. And with that, Tom now wakes up as the main character in the Johnny Jason comic, so now the comic becomes Tom Servo, Teen Reporter. The comic is basically an abridged version of the original comic, but with Tom as the main character, and Gypsy, M. Waverly, and Growler occasionally popping up to make jokes. As for the story itself, it's very basic. We begin with this girl, Shelly. She's about to get mugged by some goons, but it's soon broken up by some cops. Cutting over to Tom, we see he has a job as a news reporter. You know, with the boss smoking a cigar, I would make a Spider-Man reference, but the comic does it for me. And don't forget, I need those pictures of Spider-Man! So Tom is assigned to write a story about the Shelley Marks case. He drives off to meet with the Marks family for the weekend. Tom gets well acquainted with the parents when Shelley walks in, introducing herself and Chuck, her friend who has some obviously not good intentions. Also, apparently he's French. He probably wasn't in the original comic, but this comic is making fun of that comic, so just go with it.
Well, I for one am insulted by this comic's racist portrayal of us Frenchmen. I spit on this comic.
After Shelley makes it clear that this is her house with her ranches and her horses, the three go outside to do some horseback riding. But even when Chuck tries to make Tom look like a fool by loosening his saddle, Tom still makes himself look like a horse-riding badass. Thank goodness for those urban cowboy workout tapes. But still, Tom gets flustered and works his way off the horse, and it seems that Shelley is on to Chuck's dirty tricks. But no time for that. Tom goes to lie down before tonight's big house party. But soon, Tom is back on his feet and starts monologuing to himself about how his new life in this comic is perfect. I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm a teenager and I'm about to burst into a lawless 60s party. Yes! The beautiful thing is, I'll have the moral high ground. I was sleeping happily and your raucous music woke me up. Oh, and I'll feign that my feelings are hurt, but ultimately, I will claim this party as my own. Finally, this will be my introduction to teen high society. But soon all is revealed when Kinga and Max show up to the party to rain on Tom's parade by turning him into the party's Pizza Rolls Bowl. Oh, now it all makes sense. Moon 13 is actually being funded by Mr. Plinkett.
They're really good pizza rolls. They're hot and pizza-y and tasty. In fact, it's all I really eat.
But then, out of nowhere, some dick in an orange zoot suit comes out and starts heckling Tom. Tom tells the guy to lay off, but soon has to open up a fresh can of whoop-ass. Thankfully, it's broken up quickly, and the party continues. Later that night, when the party is over and all the guests leave, everybody comforts Tom. Sorry if I broke up your party. Don't be silly. You liven things up. You think? I guess I'm a fiery, warm-blooded, brooding teenager with a strong sense of self. And so the comic ends with Tom Servo proudly proclaiming, "Yes! Finally, something is going my way!" Man, sure hope this scene makes it into the comic book. And whatever happened to Jonah and Crow, well, you'll just have to find out what happened to them in issue 2. So that was Mystery Science Theater 3000, the comic, issue 1, and I really liked it. The biggest strength with this comic is the same as the show, the humor. I honestly didn't really know how to approach the idea of them switching mediums from movies to comics, but they did a pretty good job. I love how they interjected the characters into such a cheesy Silver Age comic and have them poke fun at all of this kind of stuff. The thing it reminded me of the most are some of those old school classic Adult Swim shows like Harvey Birdman, Space Ghost, and C-Lab 2021. Here's a few of the jokes that I didn't actually go into, but really stuck out to me and really made me laugh when I first read it through. There's no parking in the sky? You're getting a terrible Uber rating. I miss the days when thugs wore dinner jackets. I didn't know comic book tires light up when they blow. You realize we completely changed position from the last panel. We didn't want to crowd you with too many details, Tom, or bog you down with an overwhelming amount of exposition or background details. I'd love to sit down, but someone left their word balloon on the sofa. Come save me, Professor X! I could have been part of the DC universe. Shelley, this is Tom Servo, teen reporter. He's hoping to be your new boyfriend. Hey! He's not wrong, but hey! Oh crap, my evil aura is glowing. I bet you could use a cold drink. I've got a 5-hour energy in the fridge. Considering that there are comedy comics out there with horrible self-aware humor and a terrible sense of parody, it's refreshing to see a comic that actually embraces the goofiness of old school books and has a ball with the writing. The artwork is also very impressive. From the art that's in the beginning host segments to them infusing the characters into the Johnny Jason comic, they did such a good job inserting the bots and all of their wisecracks into the environment. If you're a fan of this franchise, I highly recommend checking out these comics. They're very entertaining. And you know, just like the Invader Zim comics, I'm putting them on shelf of the best. They're that good. I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm a teenager.
Welcome to my